Okay, so let's give credit where credit is due. This video is by Aliki Insights and it's called When Somebody You Love Blocks You.
When someone you love blocks you, it's them taking the upper hand. It's them removing your power, disempowering you so that they feel that they are in control. And yes, this gives them control because they've removed your ability to express yourself, to say anything, to be heard, and to say your side of the story. Now, unless you've been harassing this person and you've been constantly calling or texting and driving them crazy, they're doing it from a place of ego. They're doing it as a power play. And I would like to speak about how best you can move forward when this happens. I hope that it happens to none of you, but for you to be
Exactly as I
watching
said.
this video, chances are it's happened. But don't worry, it's not happening because
It's a
of
power
you.
power
It's not
move.
happening because of something you said or did. The people that block other people, they do this again and again. They do it usually out of habit, and it makes them feel good. Now, I'm going to talk about what.
See, I think she tries to calm you down by saying it's not your issue, it's their issue. But it doesn't matter for the person that is getting the bad end of the stick. It doesn't matter. It, it happened. So the worst happened. It's like
kind of people feel that they need to block others, and when this
the screen is
happens,
lagging a
what
little.
you can do about it. Now, my name's Aliki. I'm here to help you upgrade your energy. Sorry someone blocked you. It's happened to all of us. It's happened to me again and again. And I'm going to talk about why someone would do this. Now, have you ever blocked someone? I'd like to ask you this. And if you did block someone, why did you block them? Why did you feel that need, that moment to block them? I have friends that block people so that they feel that, hey, I'm going to show him that I don't want to hear from him. I don't want to allow him to say anything
Exactly.
and to hurt him. And
Man, as I said, I blocked somebody, and the reason I blocked them was because I just didn't want them in my life. I didn't want to deal with them. It's so egotistic. But that is what I wanted to do, not to have them. Is it healthy egotistic? I don't know. I felt bad about it. I still do.
and usually they do this deliberately to cause an emotional response in the other person. And they know that when you realize that you've been blocked, that you're going to have this huge surge of emotions come up. And it's only natural that, especially when you love someone, you have such deep feelings of love for someone, when they remove your ability to say
What is the
or
lag?
text or express yourself in any way, it's like they have told you to just shut up and not say anything, and they don't care about how it is you are, what it is you're doing, what it is you want to say. And they do this for exactly the reason for you to be in pain, for you to feel stuck, for you to feel hurt. And when they do this, it's because they're feeling hurt, they're feeling stuck. They feel this way and they project it onto you. They feel disempowered in some way, and their only way to make a power play and to feel that they're taking their power back and that they have the upper hand over you is for them to block you. This is extremely manipulative. It's
I'm supposed to curse her now.
manipulative behavior. And it doesn't show the best of character. It's not done with love, it's not done with wisdom, it's not done with knowledge. Because someone with love, knowledge, and wisdom, they can hear what it is you have to say, and they know what and how to express themselves. They know how to speak to you and for a conversation to take place where both get to speak, where both get to say their side of the story. And unless you've been driving this person crazy and you know if it is that, because then you won't be wondering, why did they block me? Because you'll know that you were texting too much, calling too much, driving them crazy. Chances are that's not what you were doing. Chances are that they suddenly decided, I'm going to block them. And especially when it happens out of nowhere, when there was no argument, there was nothing that truly happened, and they suddenly just blocked you. Know that this is because something is happening in their lives at the time that they are unable, they feel helpless to deal with. They feel that they're out of control, that they do not have their true power. And by doing this power move on you, they feel good about themselves in some way. It gives them this little surge of energy. But this energy doesn't last for long. It's actually because it's not true energy. It's not true power. It's power of the ego. It's power in their mind. And that's very fleeting power. It's gone in an instant. It can last for a little and then it's gone. And that's why sometimes people, most of the time, when they block you, after a while you'll see that they unblocked you, or they'll text you, or they'll call you, and you'll say, but you had blocked me. What happened? The thing is that when they stop getting that feeding of energy from you, when their power is no longer being fed by your emotions, by your feelings, by your thoughts, because they, by blocking you, are connected to you in some way. They feel your thoughts, they feel your frustration, they feel your pain. And in some way, yes, it's a sick way, but in some way it feeds them. It gives them this surge of energy. And when slowly your attention will shift elsewhere, or you'll say enough is enough, I'm moving forward with happiness and love, I'm doing what makes me feel good for me, and they feel that you've moved on in some way, and they don't feel that energy coming to them, that's when they'll come back. That's when they'll pop up again, and they'll unblock you. And if you see that they have not dealt with that imbalance within them, that they have not dealt with that lack of power within them, they're not standing in their true power, then know that this is bound to happen sooner or later again, and it will keep happening. People that block others, look, if you have friends that block people from time to time, you'll see that they do it again and again.
It's like a thing, you just do it back and forth.
You could say, but how do they do
that? I was like that.
They do it with ease because they feed from this. They feed
with
from
certain
this
people.
power.
I was like
it
this.
gives them this imaginary sense of importance, but it's not true importance.
Because I wanted to hurt them.
It's not true power. And the only way for you to be in your true power, to have that true feeling that, hey, I'm full of happiness, full of energy, full of love, is if you stand in the power within you. If you love all that you are. I teach this in my Attract Love course. You can check out the link below. It's about you standing in the power within you, in your true power, in your true love, in your true inspiration, and bringing this energy forward in all areas of your life. The more that you find the power within you and you stand in the energy of love and you express love in all that you are and all that you say and all that you do, the more you will attract people in your life who are balanced, who are at that same place as you are within you. And you'll feel that you have better relationships. You'll feel so much happier. You'll feel good because you will have relationships with people who don't come and go, who don't suddenly block you, who are there, and that you can move forward together, moving into higher and higher frequency, higher and higher vibration. truly feeling good that you're here experiencing life. If you want to attract the one that will be there at your side and stay at your side, the one that has found that love within him or her, that is standing in their energy, standing in their happiness, standing in their power, then check out this course. I really believe it will change and transform your life to a completely different level.
It's actually
Now,
legit.
when it is that
She's
someone
gonna teach you
blocks
the
you,
practices
do not take it
to be
personally.
happy, and you're
Do
gonna
not
find happy
start
people.
trying
It's
to
actually
see
legit.
what's wrong with you. Why do they not value you? Why do they not see your value? Why do they not see all that you are, all that you've done for them, all that you've shared with them, the moments that meant so much? Them blocking you does not erase these moments. It does not erase your value. It does not erase your power. It does not erase who you are. They have just put a stop to communication with you. And this is most often temporary. Even if it's not temporary, see how it is that you can move forward with better relationships. And I know that when you're so deeply in love with someone and they've blocked you, it's extremely hurtful. It's extremely painful. But the more you stand in your power and your energy and your happiness, and every moment you choose what fills you with happiness, what fills you with love, and you keep moving forward, then this energy will slowly be released. You slowly go away, and you will find more and more powerful energy coming forward from within you, more and more excitement, more and more inspiration. Each day will be better and better. Each moment will be better and better. And when you start feeling that pain and hurt coming back, let it go and look at something that fills you with happiness. Look at something that you're grateful for, something that inspires you. And do this, move forward with this. Shift your focus away from trying to understand him or her. Why did they block you? What's going on? And shift your focus to what makes you feel good, what makes you feel happy. I wish you happiness and love. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And also remember to like. May your most beautiful dreams come true.
Before we look at this one, I want to say a few words to the video we just watched. She made a lot of light upon how toxic this person is that blocked you. And I don't blame her for blocking me. I don't think she's toxic. It's just, I know it's too much for her. And it's just a stop of communication. So I don't blame her, you know. It's what I want to say. And that the lady really making a lot of light of how toxic people are is a way for you to feel better about yourself and not praise the person that blocked you that high. I think that is why she said it so often. None of this matters to me though. Personally, doesn't matter. I'm the man. I'm always wrong anyways. It's all my bad. But I really like the video and I'm gonna give it a like for sure.
When
And we're gonna sub. And I have a few more videos here that we're gonna watch. All about the same topic, basically. I have to tell you, this gave me a new perspective on stuff. And I feel a little bit better. Still, my situation has not changed. I don't think there is a toxicity involved. I don't think there is toxicity involved. Let's leave it at that. Right? Nothing more, nothing less. Another thing, I was in therapy for 5 or 6 sittings. I think 5 sittings, and then the last, no, it was 6 sittings, and the first one was not a real sitting. Something like that. And not once did we try to get me to practice like happiness. How she, even before she tried to sell her course, that is not even the one thing that I mentioned, but like a few moments before that, even, she mentioned it in such a way that I understood it immediately. So I'm getting the idea that I had a very bad therapist. And that is also just one of the many fears that I have for so many aspects of life. Whenever there is a human involved, there is human error. And I'm not trying to say this guy that I visited was bad person or something, but there is people with bad intentions, even doctors. Just saying. For sure, though, for sure, it was not the right guy, I believe.
You had an argument with a friend of yours.
Okay, next video is by Ashley Burgess. They blocked you, what it says about them, and what do you do next?
They owe you an apology because they wronged you. And instead of getting an apology and instead of getting any closure, they block you on social media and they block you on your phone. What do you do next?
So the preface was
Okay,
focused
so this is what happens, right? You had a
on they did you wrong. We are expecting an apology. Does not really apply in my case, but let's listen.
situation take place. Maybe there was some conflict, some argument with a friend of yours, and you were expecting to be able to communicate about this afterwards, have a conversation, get it out in the open, clear the air. But what happens? You try to do that. You try to reach out to them. You try to text them. You try to call them. You realize they've blocked you. You go to Facebook and you realize you're no longer friends. What do you do? I bet a lot of people have been there. I've been there myself, where there's no closure, no communication, and you thought this person was actually your friend. So then guess what happens? Your mind starts going. What are you going to do next? Well, let's talk real quick about the things you probably don't want to do, and then let's talk about the things that you should. The first thing you think about, and I'll tell you straight up, is you go to that friends list on Facebook and you start looking at all the friends that they've poached of yours, right? How many of your friends have they taken of yours? Oftentimes, they didn't even know any of those people when you first met, and now they have 50, 100 of them. You want to sit there and put a group text on Facebook and say, this person's a jerk.
I don't care about this at all. Let's see where she's going with this.
Defriend them. I hate them, right? First thought, right? But you know what? Bad idea. It's going to come to bite you in the butt, okay? It's also starting World War III, and another thing is it makes you look bad. It just makes you look bad. Don't do that.
Okay, she's just joking.
Another thought that you think is, you know what, I'm just going to show up where they're at, and I'm going to start an argument right there about how they're a jerk off, and they don't even want to have a communication. Probably not a good idea again. These ideas are good in our head, especially when we're filled with anger and resentment and we just want to just get it out there and just bleh. Not a good idea, okay? Those thoughts have gone through my mind as well, okay? I get it. But there's a lot of these things that we can think about. Showing up at people's houses, all those types of things. Again, not a good idea. So what do we do in a situation where somebody has left us high and dry, feeling bad, they've hurt us, we deserve an apology, but there deserves to be a communication because real people communicate about things, right? That's what adults do. So what do? How do we get over it by ourselves? Okay, because for right now, there's zero communication from the other person. Okay, well, I'm going to help you with that because I did it myself. We'll walk through it real quick. I'll give you some advice, and hopefully this will help you. You know, the first thing you want to do is realize that a real friend wouldn't do this, okay? You have real friends that you've had conversations with that have turned into conflicts. You've had real friends that you've had arguments with, that you worked it out. You've talked about it, you've overcome it, you've come to an agreement, you maybe cried about it, maybe, whatever happened, but at the same point, your relationship grew from it, okay? That's normal. We're not always going to agree with stuff. There's going to be arguments. But when somebody closes down like that, that means that they truly weren't your friend, but they're also not a friend of themselves, okay? They don't understand how to communicate. They don't want to communicate. Perhaps they're a raging narcissist that doesn't want to be told that information, or somebody that's avoiding the truth of what's going on in their own life. You'll also find many people run from situations like that. They've never dealt with conflict, and they're probably not ever going to deal with conflict. That's part of their MO, okay? And so in that situation, they're going to run like the wind. You're not going to hear from them. Another thing to think about, too, that really helped me is to realize the fact that there were red flags prior to this. And I know you're like, Ashley, thanks, this isn't helping me right now. This could have helped me earlier. I get it, but you can learn from the situation and use it in the future, okay? So you have to admit there were red flags earlier in this friendship. There were red flags that were telling you to be careful. There were things about this person that were not only irritating, but, well, quite honestly, you just didn't like. Okay, but what did you do? You let it go. You put blinders onto it. You kind of just said, you know what, things will get better, no big deal. But they didn't. Okay, and the thing is that there was already problems in the relationship, and I think that the reason why you didn't say anything before is, one, you were probably scared to. Two, you might have actually thought they weren't going to take it very well, and obviously, if this was going down the same path as the argument that you had that they cut you off from, obviously, you probably had an instinct that this was going to happen. But three, this person has a very thin skin, okay? And in relationships, we got to be thick-skinned. We got to be able to communicate and talk. And I've got to be able to listen to people tell me, hey, Ashley, maybe you should work on this, or advice for me. And I take that advice. Sometimes I'm not always like, oh, thank you so much. But I do listen, I do take it, and then I do appreciate it later on for the most part. And I feel that oftentimes in these situations when that hasn't happened, that person isn't ready to change, and they're not going to change, and you're not going to help them change. Another thing that I want you to ask yourself is, why did you get into this particular relationship to begin with? I think oftentimes we enter relationships that are unhealthy because they appear normal. Okay? Were you raised by somebody with this type of personality trait? Were you around this type of personality trait at a young age? And so when that person came into your life, it's like you were open arms with them because you're so used to it. I think oftentimes we allow unhealthy relationships in our life because they're normal, right? And so you have to ask yourself a question. One, why haven't I realized that this is a pattern in my life? Two, why haven't I begun to stand up for myself in these patterns, right? Because we're learning from these patterns, but now it's time to begin to stand up for ourselves. If you were raised by a narcissist and you're constantly dealing with narcissistic situations in your life with other people, and this becomes a pattern. So you had a father that was a narcissist, several different people you dated were narcissists, several different friends that you have are narcissists, and it's a constant basis. You really need to look at that and ask you, why are you bringing these types of people into your life? And do you not have any boundaries to deal with? I know for a fact I've dealt with that personally. And I knew that having boundaries with the narcissist was extremely hard for me because it was extremely normal for me, okay? And what I've realized lately is that I have a tendency of glossing over the red flags because it's normal. And I want it to work. And I figure that the person will just change over time, or it'll just get easier and better. But as you know, it doesn't. It gets worse. Okay? And so that's another red flag and another thought to look at. Another thing to look at too is really focusing on you, your self-esteem, your self-value, okay? When we enter these relationships with people like that would just turn on you on a dime, right? You have to really think about it and ask yourself, how did I get here and why? And why am I allowing that type of person around me when I have the ability to have all kinds of different friends around me who actually care about me and consider my thoughts and feelings, okay? And I think this is very important. And I know you're saying, but Ashley, it hurts, and I feel like I have no closure, and I feel like they were a total jerk off, and here I am holding the bag. I understand, but we've learned a valuable lesson. people not to get into relationships and friendships with, correct? Another thing that we've learned as well is that we've got to be on top of our friendships. Right when something happens that you're not happy with, that goes against your boundaries, that goes against who you are, you've got to stand up. You've got to say exactly how you feel, because the more we allow this to happen, the more it will happen, because we become the doormat. Do you understand that? And that's not a good place to be. And oftentimes when you become the doormat, there comes a time when you just blow up because you've had too much to deal with from this person for so long, and they have given you very little respect because it's all about them. And you need to ask yourself, how can I change my pattern of behavior? I can't change them, so what do I change about me to bring people around me that are actually positive and giving, instead of people that are takers and weenies that hide behind their computer and their phone, don't want to deal with any sort of conflict because they can't, because they would be completely deconstructed at this point in time. Do you see what I'm saying? Their brain would blow off if they had to deal with any conflict because they don't even know who they are, okay? And they hide behind this powerful persona when they're not really that powerful.
But can you blame them?
So I recently dealt with this situation in my own life. I would love to get your perspective on how you've dealt with this. Have you dealt with somebody that has literally gone dark on you? They owe you an apology. They were a genuine ass to you, okay? They hurt your feelings. But what
She speaks nothing but the truth. I'm definitely gonna sub and like. Really. Nothing but the truth. But again, she's taking the stance of the other is the bad, fuck them kind of thing. I can't take that stance. Because I don't care if she was wrong, even, it's like, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I don't need an apology. So am I stupid? I'm not compromising myself actively. Or am I? Am I too much in love? Am I supposed to feel like, oh, fuck them? To take a stance, to take a side. And say you were wrong. We know you're wrong. And then what? Blaming gets you nowhere. It doesn't matter. But is that a weakness? Am I too naive? Is that why I'm miserable? Because I can be an asshole, trust me. I've done shit, dude, holy fuck. I've been places, oh my fucking god. But this situation is different. Speaking about this, like this, I hear myself self-destructive. Why does it feel right? If it's self-destructive, then why does it feel right? Let's see.
did they do? They walked out of your life with nothing. Poof. How did you deal with it? Because I've realized that living my true life is the only way to deal with it, by doing what's right by me, creating those boundaries, being true and honest with myself, but also realizing, why did I let that person in my life in the first place? Why did I let them get so close that they hurt me and then took off? Last but not least, you know what I've also realized? It's a huge lesson that I had to learn. I can't change them. I can only change myself. I can't change their actions, but I can change the way I feel about it. I can change the way I feel about it. So I'm not going to be reactive on Facebook. I'm not going to be reactive on social media. And I'm not going to call them out to everybody I know. But I'm going to live truly and honestly. And I'm going to do the right thing by me. And I'm also going to be very aware of those red flags when they come up and see them for what they are, not try to sugarcoat the relationship. And also, I'm going to value my time more than to just give it to anybody. Okay? And I think this is very important, and I hope that this has helped you as well. And I wish that I could take the pain away from you right now, but I've realized that we have to forgive ourselves for being in this relationship. And if you forgive yourself for falling for that, and you actually forgive yourself and actually go by solution, meaning I forgive myself and go deep and forgive yourself, but then turn around and make a solution not to get in a relationship with that same type of personality, and not try to be codependent and work on being who you are, I think you can offset this situation from happening in the future. And just remember one thing. It might hurt right now, but time will cure this situation. But better yet, you can help another person who's dealing with this. You can help get the word out on this, and also realize that that person who is avoiding you and ghosting you is full of fear and insecurity, and they're a half of a person because they don't know how to love, they don't understand what unconditional love is, and they have no idea how to deal with the situation. They'd rather cut you out because they're so scared of confronting themselves, because that's what it comes out to. Because remember, when we argue with somebody and we bring up their faults, we're mirroring them, we're explaining to them the situation. We want to have this conversation, but when somebody takes off, they don't want to have that conversation, they're not prepared to deal with it, and you need to look within and ask yourself, how did I get here, and what can I do next to not be in a relationship with this type of person again, and to safeguard myself from being hurt like this. Forgive yourself, forgive the situation, forgive them as well. The lesson's been learned. Now it's time to move on and move forward with our life, being true and honest in all of our friendships, giving unconditional love to others and ourselves, and realizing our true value is way better and way more valuable than being in a relationship with someone that'll do that to you. I hope this video has helped, and don't forget to continue to live your true life. Are you currently in a toxic relationship and unsure what the next day will bring?
What is this?
Have you often wondered if there's more to life than this? Do you suffer from self-esteem issues that you've had since you were a young child? Have issues or have difficulty speaking with your family? Do you feel surrounded by self-centered people? Seems as though you're always giving and they're always taking. If you've answered yes to any of these questions, you need some answers. The 10-day challenge to live your true life gives you the knowledge and techniques for creating boundaries in your life that help us to deal with family, as well as dealing with those narcissistic and toxic people in your life. It offers the insight into understanding and overcoming your self-esteem issues, and to begin to see for the first time your amazing value. You owe it to yourself to find the power within you.
We give her that for sure. Also, the little commercial at the end. Props. But I'm a little afraid of these kind of courses and books. I believe they take away humanity. That sounds so stupid when I say it. But they make you, like, most likely choose a side like she did in her video now, and point with fingers saying, you are bad. I value myself more, so arrogance comes into play. As to where it's not like a pure arrogance, it's more like a, I don't want to have to deal with you. I'm just gonna, because I focus on myself. All these things with love yourself and know your worth and stuff. Like, I don't care about it at all. But is that bad? I mean, of course, you have to value your life somewhere, or you wouldn't be where you are right now. You wouldn't have, in the big picture, survived, because you would have done, I don't know, some stupid decisions, right? It is true when she says they don't know how to communicate, they're probably narcissistic, but she's also just throwing all these trigger words on the wall, and stuff just keeps sticking. If you're watching this kind of videos, you're probably coming from this sort of place anyways, and then something bound to stick, if not all of it. But still, it's I'm having troubles identifying myself with these comments, cause I don't like to like point fingers and say, I like to, work on it, no matter who's at fault. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you were wrong, fine. Let's fix it. Or do they not understand that they were wrong, and then you can't help them anyways? But you can, because they are also smart. It's just the issue that they have some blockage. Telling them off that easily, that is the wrong way, I think. You bad, I focus on myself. Instant, like that. Why not try fix it over and over? I'm hopeless. I'm not too naive, trying forever. I'm not crazy. That's the definition of crazy. Trying something over and over and expecting the another outcome. I see potential. I see potential wherever I look. That's the most important thing about life, anyways. It's all about potential. Potential to do something, whatever it is. Anything. This video too shirred my stomach, but it did help. I feel a little better. At the same time, it didn't change anything. Because the perspective we've seen so far was one of, there is two sides, and if one doesn't work out, you go the other direction. I feel like this doesn't apply in my case. I feel like there should be more chances, or at least one more chance. How many chances are enough. How about one proper? I'm trying to reverse engineer the thought. The act of being blocked. In which direction could it also work? You can think about blocking somebody as a power move, as we heard. But that's the copium explanation. What they're thinking is, I don't want nothing to do with you. Or they would want to hurt you. They know how you would react. They just can't handle you at the moment. Good. So this is for like reasons, but then it gets really interesting. Why? Not why, and then you have your reason, but I guess why and how. Does it come on fast? Is it a longer process? Something trigger it? Many things trigger it. So then it becomes interesting. You can evaluate what this person is doing. So if you know the person is just not thinking straight, you're not gonna tell them off. You're just gonna wait until they have a clear head. If you love them, if you truly love them, you wait forever. Or are you wasting your time? Is that the wrong approach? Are you supposed to move on after a certain amount of time has passed? How fast? How much time must have passed? See, it gets tricky very fast. The next clip is by Chris Seiter. It's called "If He Blocks You, He Loves You." Right?
To be a dangerous misconception making the rounds on the internet lately. And it's this idea that an ex or a guy who blocks you actually loves you, as if they're just playing some weird reverse psychology trick on you. Well, today,
It's a game.
I'd actually like to peel back the layers on this onion and take an in-depth look at what's really going on with a guy when he blocks you. So I'd actually like to divide this discussion up into three distinct parts. First, simply answering the question on if a man blocking you actually means he loves you. Second, the important role avoidant behavior plays into blocking. And third, why the mere act of obsessing about this is setting you back. So let's dive right in. So does him blocking you actually mean he loves you? So my team and I have been studying breakups for literally close to 10 years now. I believe we started in 2012. So it's pretty safe to say that we've seen a lot of situations. Now, obviously, the art of the block is one of the most feared outcomes for our clients. So where exactly did this phenomenon of thinking a guy who blocks you actually meaning he loves you
From
come
TikTok.
from? Well, here's sort of the trajectory I've seen with most of my clients. So your ex blocks you. Psychological reactance takes hold of you, causing you to grow a bit desperate. You hyper focus on good moments of the relationship, specifically where he tells you he loves you. You do some research and see that all the experts suggest that the opposite of love isn't anger, it's indifference. And it's actually that last statement where things get interesting, because technically, an ex blocking you is them taking an action that enables them to be indifferent towards you going forward. But no one really views blocking as an indifferent action anymore. It's viewed as an angry one. And that leads us to this carrot, the one that says that an ex angrily blocking you actually means they love you. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this statement. I think it's a stretch based on a flawed premise. The
Oh, they
reason
have
most
angrily
people
in there.
block, I believe, is due to an avoidant trigger they may have, not because they love you. So last year, I wrote and filmed a lot on the topic of avoidance. In fact, I personally believe that the first thing everyone who's new to my program or new to my website should be going through a crash course on avoidant behavior. Why? Well, maybe the fact that most of our clients say that their exes are avoidant is a big reason. Close to 75% of our clients believe that their ex is avoidant. And here's what we know about avoidance. Each avoidant has the same exact core wound, a deep fear of losing their independence. And each
It's
avoidant
exactly me.
experiences some variation of the following circular pattern, if you will. So they
I made
want
a video
someone to love them.
about this
They
avoidant
find you. They
attachment.
believe their troubles are over. They notice some worrying things about you. This causes them to think of leaving. They actually leave. They are happy that they left. They start to feel lonely. They wonder why this always happens to them, and then they repeat again.
And I broke the cycle. I worked on this for a long time. And in summer last year, I made a video about this. It's on the channel in playlist mental health or something. And it's about attachment styles and my attachment style, and I'm talking like 2 hours or something. And I broke the circle. Because I would see flaws, but then I would not think about leaving. I would think about fixing. Full commitment. And that is one of the biggest regrets that I have. That I became this person too late. It's just too late.
And again, from relationship to relationship to relationship. And it all kind of stems, and if you look closely at this list, you'll notice things start to turn on the avoidant right around stage 7, where they start to feel kind of lonely. And we see this play out all the time in actual situations where our own clients have been blocked by an avoidant. One of the things you'll constantly hear me say is that the best way to get unblocked is to simply do nothing. Just live your life. Let the avoidant go through the death wheel above. Eventually, stage 7 will hit and they'll unblock you, right? Sounds too good to be true. Well, believe it or not, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, I'm going to actually put up a graphic that is from a poll I conducted last year, where 68% of people who I asked, for those of you who have been in a situation where your ex blocked you, did they at one point
Look at number
unblock you?
3.
And they answered yes, they did. So close to 70% of participants admitted that their exes unblocked them. And this is where that assumption of them still being in love with you comes into play. But I wouldn't call it love. Not yet, at least. More than anything, this just solidifies that an avoidant is a slave to their avoidant programming. But you aren't fully interested in that, are you? No, what you really want is a secret sauce on how to get a long-term commitment, how to get a guy or lover to fall in love with you and propose. Now, I've been thinking about this a lot, and in my opinion, it all boils down to one thing. Most of the women I've coached obsess about the wrong things. Now, this isn't an indictment of women in general. In fact, I think most women in the dating world actually have the right way of looking at things. But most of the women that I interact with, that frequent my website, that frequent my YouTube channel, that listen to my podcast, by their own admission, have anxious attachment tendencies. And one of the classifying markers of someone with this type of attachment style is the following core wound. They're terrified of being abandoned. And as you might have guessed, having an ex block you is something that directly triggers that core wound for an anxious attachment style individual. And this leads most of my clients down what I consider to be a dangerous path, one fraught with desperation, begging, obsession. Now, we've all seen sort of the crazy funny
The
memes
pain you
online
inflict
of the
by
ex-girlfriend who
blocking,
went
dude,
crazy
is
after a
crazy.
breakup, blowing her ex's phone up. More than likely, this crazy person, though, isn't really crazy. It's just that their anxious attachment got triggered and they're reacting the only way they know how. They want to fix things. They want to turn over every stone to do it. But I'm getting a bit off topic. I'd actually like to turn my attention to a statement I made earlier. Now, I argue that the best way to get unblocked by an ex is to actually do nothing at all. Simply wait and trust that the avoidant attachment death wheel will sort of do its work for you. That went on to show you internal research that basically backed my point up. But I was being a little bit heavy-handed, if I'm being honest. I was leaving out half the equation. So when someone enters my orbit and is serious about ex recovery, the one thing I'm very adamant about doing is ensuring that they reorient their world. And one of the analogies that I've often used is the solar system analogy. And a huge pitfall I've noticed women fall into when they've been blocked is that their entire world sort of revolves around the person that blocked them, much like the planets orbiting a sun. Your entire life revolves around an ex. Or more to the point, I know my ex loves me, so how can I get my ex to unblock me? And this becomes an unhealthy obsession. But I've already established that I don't think your ex loves you if he blocks you. Besides, in most cases, what can cause an ex to block you is if they see that your solar system revolves around them. Perhaps it's flattering to them at first. I won't deny I'd kind of like it a little bit at first, but over time, you sort of lose respect for that person. It's the classic case of a man getting everything he wished for in a woman and then taking it for granted. It also has a bit to do with the pedestal effect concept I've talked about in videos before. We always want to be dating someone above our weight class, someone who we can hold on a pedestal. Though situations like that tend to be incredibly rare, so most of us are just happy to be dating someone equal to us. But what we don't want almost universally is someone that we think we are better than. Because someone that we think we are better than, we think we can do better than, if that makes sense. So someone like that, they lose value in that specific circumstance. Now, what men really want is a woman who they admire, a woman with her own solar system, one that doesn't revolve around the ex, but one in which maybe the ex is a part of the solar system, but he is revolving around her. But how do you get your own solar system? Well, I think it actually starts in the most unlikely of places. It starts with your ability to live for more than your ex. It starts with you becoming someone to be admired. And this is where I think I lose most people, because they think I'm saying that they're not good enough the way they are currently. And that's simply not true. Being someone admired simply means you're accomplishing, or you're attempting to accomplish, your Trinity goals. And my concept of the Holy Trinity has gone viral because it's a concept that really works. So essentially what you're doing is you're dividing your life into 3 distinct parts: health, wealth, and relationships. Now, originally in 2013, when I thought up the concept, I made it all about balancing the 3 areas. I talked about their interconnectedness and how when one goes up, the others can go up, or how when one goes down, the others can go down. And that's all still true, but I'm not sure that's helpful for most people reading this or listening to this or watching this. There's a more important step that
financial
I
is good,
often
health
don't
is bad,
talk about. And that step is
love
setting
is
a
bad,
global goal for each
and
area
the other
of
way
the
around.
Trinity. So I'll use myself as an example. My global goals for the Trinity are health, compete in an Ironman World Championship event; wealth, have a net worth of over $100 million; relationships, be married until the day I die. So really, if you think about it, the Trinity is all about dreams. It's about
That's a
setting
good one.
specific goals to help you achieve your dreams in every important area of your life. And honestly, a global Trinity goal needs to sound sort of ridiculous. Otherwise, it's not going to be good enough. It literally needs to be the type of goal that others scoff at because they don't think they can achieve it. This is what you should be spending all your time obsessing about after a breakup. Not an ex, not what he's up to, not if he loves you even though he blocked you. Doing the Trinity work is actually what creates the spark for him to fall back in love with you. So your challenge is you just have to be willing to put in the time to start climbing toward your global Trinity goals.
So it wasn't too bad. You definitely feel a difference in man versus woman. They kept it a little more general towards the end. The Trinity part was a little bit contradictory, though he must have meant just focus on cash and health. And then they're gonna unblock you and come by themselves. Which these kind of tips, I didn't even hear it. The part of them unblocking you, after some time. I like the Trinity though.
Being blocked by your ex.
Let's watch Brett Browning. What does it mean if your ex blocked you? What to do?
Feels horrible. You know, this was the person that you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with, and now they're cutting you off just like that. Of course, it makes you feel like they never cared about you at all, or that they hate you and they want to hurt you. But the truth is, that's probably not the real reason your ex blocked you. So in this video, I'll explain why your ex probably blocked you, what it actually means, and what you can do about it if you want your ex back. I'm Brad Browning, author of the best-selling X Factor program. I've been a relationship coach for almost 14 years now, and believe me, I've seen my fair share of bad breakups. I've seen exes, do some pretty crummy stuff to one another, but honestly, few things seem to hit people as hard as actually being blocked by an ex. And that's probably because it feels very final. It feels like your ex saying, it's totally over and I'm not gonna to even listen to what you have to say. It also kind of feels like a final, screw you on the way out the door. And now I'm not gonna deny, it is a pretty extreme thing to do, but chances are your ex does have a good reason for blocking you, and it's probably not just a way of hurting you. It also doesn't necessarily mean that things are over forever, and it definitely doesn't mean that they no longer care about you or think about you. So what does it mean? Well, first off, let's look at the actual situation. It's very rare for everything to be totally normal, and then you send a text to your ex and it says, not delivered, or you go on their social media and find out that you've been blocked. So usually there was, an inciting incident here that led to your ex blocking you, or maybe a series of incidents. Also, I will say that there is a difference between your ex blocking you on social media and actually blocking your phone number, but we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. First, let's talk about some reasons why they blocked you. So possible reason number one is you were pressuring them to get back together. Now this one is one of the most common reasons that an ex will block you after a breakup. If you don't leave them alone and you won't take no for an answer, then they may have felt like this was their only way to get you to stop. Now you might say, but they were never that upset about it. Sure, they never said yes, but they never exactly said no either. And this is common as well. You see an ex who blocks you in this situation as one who's trying to avoid confrontation. They're afraid to be honest with you, whether it's because they don't want to make you angry, they don't want to hurt you, or they're just trying to avoid more drama. But if you repeatedly reach out to them begging for a second chance or bringing up the breakup in the relationship, then chances are that is why they blocked you. Oftentimes, you may not even realize you've pushed your ex too hard or really done anything that would actually irritate them. But really have a good look at your behavior over the past few days or few weeks. Have you been pressuring your ex to get back together or acting in a way that would make them feel pressured? If so, then chances are pretty good that that's why they decided to block you. Now, possible reason number two that you've been blocked is because your ex is trying to get a rise out of you. So if you haven't been in contact with your ex much and you've just been focused on yourself and getting back on track since the breakup, then they could have blocked you just to get your attention or to try to get back at you. I know this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but as I've said, breakups really can mess with your head. Often an ex, will be upset that you're not trying to get them back, or at the very least, just giving them attention. So what's really happening here is that they miss you and they feel like because of your actions that you don't miss them and they don't like that. Now they don't want to reach out to you and cuss you out or do anything like that. They know how that's going to look. Plus they see it kind of like a competition. If they message you first, then they lose and you win. So if they block you, they know that you're going to see that and have a reaction to it. You'll be confused and upset, and they're hoping that you'll reach out to them. And when you do, obviously they'll feel like they've won. Now, in this case, your ex will block you on social media, but usually leave some other way to contact them so that they can get that confrontation that they're looking for. Now, the number one thing here that you need to remember is that you should not give them that reaction that they're looking for. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the video. For now, possible reason they blocked you number three, you got into a big fight. So obviously, if you and your ex got into a huge fight yesterday and today you've been blocked, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what happened. In this kind of case, they're either doing this to avoid confrontation or just as a big you. This is just another avenue for them to fight with you without really fighting with you. The good news is that if this is why they blocked you, then chances are it's probably not permanent. Often an ex who blocks you for this reason will unblock you when their emotions die down and they realize that they miss you and they probably overreacted. I've definitely seen that happen many times. Possible reason number four is you were just messaging them too much. This is another very common reason for an ex to block you. If you were blowing up your ex's phone nonstop following the breakup, then obviously that could be one of the reasons they blocked you. This is really a lot more likely if you were also clingy in the relationship as well. I mean, think about it, because in some ways, a breakup is a way of saying, give me space. And blocking you is another way of saying this if you didn't get the message the first time. The good news is that if this was a major contributor to your breakup, then your silence during this time is going to be extra powerful. Often just giving your ex the space that they wanted in the first place will be enough to make them realize that they do miss having you in their life. They still want you, they just want a little less of you than you were giving them. Another possible reason, number 5, they're trying to move on. So, whether your ex has met somebody new or they're just making an effort to move forward without you, this can be a reason that your ex might block you. And this is actually way more common than you might think. Your ex knows that if they stay connected to you in any way, they'd have a lot of trouble moving on and might possibly wind up caving into their emotions and getting back together with you just to numb their heartache. This is one of the biggest reasons that I say that your ex blocking you is not a sign that they hate you or that they're even over you. So if you aren't pestering them with messages, then blocking you is really a sign that they miss you a lot. And if this sounds like it might be the case for your ex, that they might have blocked you because they don't trust themselves to stay committed to a permanent breakup, then go to breakupbrad.com/quiz and take a few minutes to complete my free quiz tool. It'll tell you your chances of getting back together, and it'll also give you some more insight into what your ex is actually feeling right now. Again, the quiz is free, and you can take it in less than 5 minutes at breakupbrad.com/quiz. And possible reason number 6, they blocked you right after the breakup. So if your ex blocked you right after breaking up, then it really doesn't necessarily mean much. As I've said before, this is a traumatic time, and people often act on instinct alone, and they're just, looking for some relief in a difficult situation. Obviously, some small part of your ex believed that they'd feel better if they blocked you. They probably don't want to think about what happened right now, and they figure if they block you, then they can get a little bit of relief. Now, if this is your situation, don't worry too much. Chances are they're going to unblock you soon because they're really going to start to miss you too much. Now, another reason, number 7, is that you were a negative influence on their life. So if you in your relationship, if you represent a negative part of your ex's life that they're trying to move on from, then that's mostly likely why they blocked you. Maybe you were, involved in drugs and now they've gone clean. Maybe you had a really toxic relationship that impacted their life in a bad way. Maybe you were just together at a very bad time that they're trying to forget. But in this case, you really do need to reflect on where you are right now. Are you part of this bad scene that they're trying to leave behind? Or are you going to get your life right too? Now this one it's a pretty rare situation and unlikely to be the case for most of you watching, but it does happen occasionally. Another more common reason, number 8, is that you hurt them. So obviously, if you did something very naughty, like cheating, lying, stealing, abuse, really anything like that, then chances are, obviously, that's why they blocked you. Even if you think that you might have, smoothed it over at the time, breakups allow us a lot of time to think things over. So chances are, without you around, your ex has realized, just how angry they still are about whatever it is that you did, and so they wanted to block you. And that's exactly what they did. And possible reason number 9, you went no contact. So if you've seen any of my past videos, you probably know that I do usually advocate the no contact method. This involves you taking, a big break from communication with your ex after breaking up. And during that time, obviously you focus on improving your own life and allow your absence to make your ex miss you. Now, your ex typically won't react this way, but in some rare situations, they might actually block you when you go no contact on them. Now, this can be a good sign if you want them back. And that's because they've clearly noticed that you're not obsessing over them the way they thought you would, and so they're trying to get you back by blocking you. They'll only do this if they're still thinking about you and what you're doing, and that means obviously that they aren't moving on. Now, I bet quite a bit that this isn't a permanent block, it's just more of an angry gesture on their part. All right, so I hope I've convinced you that your ex blocking you really doesn't mean that they hate you, that they never cared about you, or that things are necessarily even over. Exes really will block you for a variety of reasons, but almost all of them mean that they do still care about you, whether or not they want to be in contact with you. Now, at the beginning, I said I would talk about the difference between blocking your number and blocking you on social media. Now, in my opinion, blocking your number has more to do with them not wanting you to contact them, and blocking you on social media is more that they don't want to see what you're doing, and they don't want you to see what they're doing. Now, of course, unless they do block you on both, they're probably not afraid of you or trying to make sure that you never speak to them ever again. And that does bring us to what you actually need to do when you're in this situation. But first, let's talk about what not to do, because this is a very touchy situation, so you're more likely to make the wrong move here than the right one. So first off, do not try to reach out to them. You shouldn't reach out to your ex when they've actually blocked you. Full stop. It's never gonna work out the way you want it to. It doesn't matter what you do or say right now, it's only gonna make things worse. By blocking you, they're setting a clear boundary here, and you really do need to respect that, whether or not you want to have a relationship with them after this. If you don't respect it, they're going to start to think that you don't respect them either. And on top of this, you're going to scare them. Now, I know that you don't have bad intentions, but somebody repeatedly reaching out to you after you've said stop is really alarming. So don't reach out from another number, don't reach out through mutual friends, don't post about it online, and don't message them on LinkedIn. Just leave them alone for now. And another important thing to remember is that you also shouldn't try to place blame. As I've explained earlier in this video, there's many reasons why your ex might have blocked you, some more valid than others. But it doesn't matter if the reason that they blocked you was totally wrong and very immature, because they still blocked you. There's no point in dwelling on the reason why, much less trying to convince them that they were wrong. You need to try to accept this, because really, all you can do now is decide how you're going to respond to the block. So here's what you need to do. First, accept it and what it means. I know how much it hurts to be blocked, and maybe you think, if you can find a way to blame them, then you won't have to admit to yourself that you deserved it, because that's even more painful. But the truth is, as I've said, it's rarely a completely one-sided issue. You had a relationship, relationships are complicated, and sometimes we hurt each other in ways we didn't intend, and the only way forward is to separate completely, at least temporarily. So whatever your ex's motivations were, they had some kind of reason to block you, and there's no point blaming them for it. But I'm sure you're now wondering, if your ex will ever unblock you. Does this mean that the relationship is over for good? Well, as we already discussed, the answer to that can be found over at breakupbrad.com/quiz. I put together a really simple but effective quiz that will answer the question, can I get my ex back? So go and just go over there, answer a few questions, and you'll get a result out of 100 that represents how easy it's going to be to reconnect with your ex. And moving forward, whether or not your ex unblocks you, they are going to need a break from having you in their life. Your best bet is to focus on you and the things that are within your control. Chances are good that your ex will reach out to you sometime in the near future, but unfortunately, that's really got to be a decision that they make on their own. If you want to discuss your specific situation in more depth and get my help with coming up with a plan to win them back, even if they've blocked you right now, please go to breakupbrad.com/coaching and consider signing up for a month of my very affordable one-on-one personal coaching. When you register, you can immediately send me all the details about your breakup and some of the current challenges you're facing, and we'll work together on overcoming them. And that is it for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.
People in the comments go berserk.
Hi, it's Alexis.
Being blocked by your ex feels horrible.
To dumpers who block after doing it so. Those that would never give up on you, and you know how much it hurt us. You're the worst. Because they don't want to take responsibility for being dishonest and having affairs when you call them out. Coward action and form of abuse. I have no friends. My ex was my only friend, and I have had planned so many things with him. Now I am shattered. I don't know what to do. I hate my home. I have no one to talk to, even at my home. I hate my life. Everybody's just sad and mad. This one was very depressing. All of the reasons why they would block you are mixed for me, and I think I give this no reach out thing a try. And then what? So this one was very depressing. Let's see the next.
Hi, it's Alexis. What to do if your ex blocked you on every...
So this is Alexis Friedlander, the avoidant therapist. By the way, I was avoidant all my life. And she is fearful, anxious. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
Everything. This is what I'm gonna answer today in this video. Intro very quick, you'll see everything after the jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So first of all, before I get to the action and things you have to do, I really want to empathize with you, because I know it is really painful to see that the person that you love the most blocking you, ignoring you, putting a shield between you guys. I know it is a tough spot you're in. And before I explain everything you have to do, you have to be mindful that this journey ahead needs patience. And I know it's very easy for me to say, but it is what you have to acknowledge right now. When your ex blocks you, the path on getting back together is long. I'm not saying that there's no path at all, but it is long. So you have to acknowledge that. You'll see there's ways out. there's good news. Don't worry. Let's start with the rationale. And it's really important for you to be honest with yourself. Understand why they blocked you. There was a reason that at some point you decided, that's enough, I've had enough, I want to block that person, I don't want to talk to you anymore, I don't want to hear from you. Did you harass them? Did you, were you rude with them? Did you use strong language? Were you too emotional? Were you too needy? All these kind of things. Did you make the breakup more difficult than it should have? So be really honest with yourself, because in a vast majority of the cases, when someone decides to block an ex, it's because there was something wrong in the breakup. Maybe from their fault, maybe you reacted the wrong way, but really be honest with that. List down a list of why you think she or he blocked you, and make sure you understand why they need that space. Okay, because when someone blocks a person, it's because I need space from you. Now, the other thing you have to acknowledge, it will take time to reconnect with your ex, but blocking someone is temporary. Okay? In 99% of the case, you get unblocked at some point. Always. And you have to use that space. Okay? Use that space to reconstruct yourself. Use that space to stay away from reacting. Because when you were in touch, something was wrong. That's why they blocked you. Something was wrong because either what you were saying was making them upset, or maybe anything that you were saying was making them sad. They wanted that space. So rather than fighting on something that's already lost, in a way, you close that chapter. You work on yourself. Remember that when the more you push, the more they pull away. Shift your focus. It's a little bit like when you go to sleep and you're struggling to sleep, and you tell to yourself, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep, I need to sleep. It is the worst thing you can do to fall asleep. And it is exactly the same when an ex blocks you. The more you think of like, I want to get back with her or him, I want to text him, I want to text her, it's going to really make you feel bad, make you feel depressed, because you're going to hit yourself on a wall. And again, I mentioned the circle of control in another video. It's really about looking at the things you can control right now. They blocked you, respect that decision, and use it as an opportunity for you to grow. Use it as an opportunity to find yourself, to understand what went wrong in the relationship. Probably working on your communication skills. You know, something happened. Why would someone block me, not want to speak with me, even though we were together for years? And this type of exercise, you have to really find someone you can speak with and explain those situations. It could be myself, it could be a therapist, it could be a friend. Don't talk to thousands of friends, just one or two maximum. But really, it's very important for you to use that space and reconstruct yourself. And if you want to have a chat with me, I'm more than happy to do so, obviously. There's discovery calls in my diary. I leave about 10 per week, so you can basically have a free consultation. The link is in the description of the video, and also, yeah, it's in the description of the video. You just book it, and I'd be more than happy to have a chat and see how we could help yourself go from a place, a very dark place, to a lighter and happier place. The fact that your ex blocked you, you put it on the side and you focus on other things. 3, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal really, because most of my clients, and when I say my clients, the successful clients, so the 80% of my clients who got back with the ex, most of them, they were blocked at some point from the ex. First of all, you're not always blocked on everything. Often you're blocked on Instagram or Facebook, but you can still message them. Or you're blocked on message and they can still have you on Facebook and stuff like that. So you are with them in some shape or form. You have friends in commons. Maybe they have pictures of you at their place. Don't think that because they blocked you, they forgot you. They don't want you anymore. It just means at this point of time, I don't want to deal with you. At this point of time. Now, whether it's temporary or forever is really up to you. Whether it's quick or it's long, it's also depending on you. So what you have, to get to help you get going, see it as an audition. They sort of use this, and they will be basically tracking how you react to this situation. Would you react with dignity? Would you make things more difficult than they should? Would you be too emotional, too angry? Or would you be mature? So really be important, and that's why it's very important to have a buddy that can help you prepare the after, prepare for that audition, right? Few strategies to get unblocked, and obviously there's no magic or science on that. It's few studies that I've seen working in the past. The first strategy is don't try to get unblocked. so when your ex shuts you the door on the face, don't try to climb the window. You have to respect that decision. So rather than, and you're watching my video because you want to get unblocked, but it's the same as wanting to go to sleep. Stop focusing on that. And honestly, when you start to shift your focus and focus on other things, first you'll feel better. First, you'll understand that actually there's not only your ex in life. And secondly, and thirdly, this is when your ex will start to realize that things have settled and it's safer to get in touch with my ex. So live your best life and don't hesitate to show it to the world. Don't pretend to be a person you're not. But at the same time, if, for example, she blocked you on WhatsApp and you're still friends on Facebook, don't hesitate to post pictures of you going on hike, doing stuff and things like that. Okay, so there's already a lot of
People
we
watching
always
this,
underestimate the
they put
number
on the angler
of
hat
points in contact we have with our ex. You have friends in
and
common, you
making
live in the same
photos
city. There are so
of
many
good
ways
times.
for your ex to see what you're up to. Okay, especially if you're doing great, he or she will hear about it. And last but not least, it's really up to you to decide what you want to do with that. Blocking you is a signal, is a message for you. Do you want to be with someone who actually doesn't want to give you a second chance, or who doesn't want to allow some time and space to heal, some opportunity for you to explain yourself? There's a lot of people that are very stubborn and they don't want to change. And they don't think you can change. So it's really up to you to decide whether you want a relationship like that. I can't decide for you. And you've had feelings for that person, strong feelings. So I'm not going to judge about those feelings, but it's really about with that time and space that you have in front of you, when after 1, 2, or 3 months passes by and you're still blocked, you have to think for yourself, is that really something that I want? And of course, this question is, you have to discuss with someone. You have to see a therapist or discuss with a friend to understand why there's so much dependency on that person and how you can sort of expand your horizon and get away from that structure. Because being blocked is definitely not the end of the world. Being only focusing on that for the rest of your life is actually really bad for you, and I really want you to avoid doing that. Sorry, my cat's just playing with a pen. Anyway, take care of yourself. You'll see better days are ahead. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. If you're not already, we are a growing community and I'd love you to be part of it. And don't hesitate also to comment and share any story or any tips. It helps the community as well and helps people watching the video. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
That was not the worst, honestly. Doesn't matter. After a while, they unblock you, Wheel of Death, or whatever kind of sequence. This all does not matter for me at all. They are the big bad, we are the good anyways. That's also, I don't care about that. In total, of all the videos we watched, I could not take away anything but the last sentence he said. Being blocked by somebody is not the end of the world, but focusing on that thing is the end. And of course that the people who are blocking are just terrible people. I think that goes without say. I'm thinking I don't want to come over as like trying to copium, trying to feel better, talking them down, because you see, I'm not, right? I'm not trying to blame anybody. Watching this really helped. I want to do another session about this topic, but it was good enough for today. Really took away a lot of the edge. And I'm trying to find a way to focus on something different. And that is like the number one thing they should teach you in therapy. How to not get consumed by these emotions, but try and find something productive to do. And it sounds so stupid. As if we can just close one door and open another.